Hey everyone, Chris here from Composite Community. I'm joined in the studio today with Adam Finlay. I've known Adam for a number of years now, and I think he has a pretty unique story that I'd like to share with everyone. Adam, thank you for coming in and taking time from luxurious Camp Island.
No problem, mate. Good to be here.
So Adam, in your own words, how long have you been in the industry?
Yep, so about 10 years in the fishing industry. Started off as a deckhand, worked our way up to a skipper, and then moved up in sizes of boats. And then, now we're in the 37-foot boat range. And
the operation that you got now.
We'll go bigger.
So how did it all start, mate? Let's go back to the beginning.
So basically, I always wanted to be a guide all through schooling. Just never had the confidence, I don't think, up until I was about 30.
You don't only look a day over 30
74.
now, mate.
Yeah, it's an easy life, I tell you. No, but so I didn't have the confidence when we left school. So I got in the casino industry, and then over time realised it wasn't what I wanted to do and wanted to work for myself. So then eventuated and slowly moved into the barra side and started guiding in the barra, and then now doing offshore stuff as well. So we've got 2 boats. And
so fished a fair bit as a kid?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Torres Straits, so I spent the first 7 years of my life up on Murray Island. So it was all fishing from 18 months old onwards, basically. Had a island grandma used to row me out on a boat and fish on the edge of the reef there. And
picturing Moana right now.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So modern day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool, and always loved it. And Dad was a school principal, so we'd always have weekends off and fish every weekend. So
beautiful place to grow up in.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty nice. Pretty untouched up there.
Yeah. And then you come here.
And then I come here, and there's people everywhere.
Yeah. So you when did you move here? Sorry.
So I was 7 when we come back to Townsville.
Yep.
And we've been in Townsville since.
Yep. Continued fishing when you got back here?
Yep. Yeah, so Dad originally was from Proserpine, the Whitsundays, and fished a lot of barra and threadfin salmon down there. So we just sort of made that into what we do around Townsville and learnt and
so you fished a fair bit with your dad?
Yeah, so 99% of my fishing up until I was about 17, I'd say, was with Dad. And then, moved into camping with mates and then fishing by ourselves or with other mates and just learning and,
Obviously spent a fair bit of time actually fishing in order to want to become a guide.
Lots, yeah. So all my spare time. So even the casino days, we'd finish shift at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd be on the water by 5:30, no sleep, 2 or 3 days sometimes, and just live on Red Bull.
Yeah.
So
life hasn't changed that much then?
Not really, no. No, not at all. Just less casino.
Good.
Yeah. My wife thinks that too.
So were you the type of person that wanted to become a guide because you enjoyed fishing or you enjoyed taking people fishing?
I think originally, like at the start when I was in the 20s, it was more the thought of making money fishing without having to kill everything. And then, once I started getting into it, it was the realisation that it was all about catching fish for other people and just seeing their enjoyment.
So this is all before like Facebook and Instagram days?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So did you ever take the $11 special with the click and then wind it across to get any?
No. I haven't got many old day photos. No.
So you wanted to try and make some money off a hobby, basically?
Basically, and live a good lifestyle while doing it.
Yeah. What was it like back then? Were there many guides around?
So back then, there was 3 or 4 that we sort of looked up to that we knew about. Because of no social media and that sort of thing, you didn't know these other guides down the East Coast, and that you'd only know who was in your area. So there's a couple we looked up to, and And
they were sort of species-specific guides?
Yeah. So originally everything was always barra. I was always after barra and threadfin. They were just the prime targets. And then when I started decking, I realised how good the reef was and how nice it was out there, and slowly moved to enjoying that stuff. Yeah.
So you didn't, through your fishing days and stuff, even with Dad, you didn't do a lot of reef stuff?
No, more the inshore islands and stuff like that. So, offshore and reef was not. He can't swim, so he would never want to go out in a bigger boat and do that sort of stuff. So we hire a few fishing boats, charter guides for the reef stuff when I was a young 12, 13 years. old. We went on a few. Instead of sort of going to the show, we'd sort of go out there instead of wasting money on the Townsville show. We'd take a charter and go out the reef and enjoy it. But apart from that, Dad wouldn't go.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I'd never got crook.
Yep.
I started to in the latter days with the big diesel boats.
Yeah.
But now with outboards, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, right. So, knowing what you know now to what Adam Finlay thought being a guide was in his head when he wanted to do it as a kid, what did you think a fishing guide was?
Oh,
just a rock star?
Yeah, basically. Like, because there wasn't many as such, and the ones that were around were pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
The Townsville region had a few really high-end guides that were world-class.
Yeah.
And still are. There's still a few still going in their old age. So,
do you reckon it fished any better back then?
Oh, definitely. So even the difference between 5 years ago to now, I started the barra stuff about 5 years ago. And the difference now to then is still a big difference. And I think a lot of that's to do with pressure, the amount of fishing pressure it gets, not the amount of fish. I think we've got not far off the same amount of barra that were there 5 years ago.
It's got a lot more people that want to fish.
Just got a lot more lures that are getting pegged at them, and a lot of people doing different things and making the schools a bit more temperamental. So,
So you wanted to live this rock star lifestyle, be on the water every day, getting paid for it, just wind in your hair.
Yeah. And then once you realise that, a really good barra boat doesn't have a canopy, you're in the sun for 200 days a year.
Yeah.
And then you sort of go, well, the reef stuff's pretty good.
Yeah.
You sit in a nice cabin and enjoy the breeze and the deck whenever you want.
So you did you make the transition from recreational fisho to guide pretty quick? Like, did you just go, yep, this is what I'm going to do, and you went for it?
Yeah, so for about 5 years I deckhanded and subcontracted and driving barra boats for other people behind motherships and lodges and that sort of stuff.
Around this area?
No, further north.
Okay.
So we did all the way to Princess Charlotte Bay and sort of those areas, and then out on the motherships out of here, Mackay, Cairns.
So you've seen some country.
So, yeah, it's pretty good out there. And it all fishes the same. Like, it's interesting. The reefs, it doesn't matter whether you go out there or go out north. It's all pretty much the same thing. Yeah. They're just bigger versions. So, but it's pretty nice. Yeah, there's some good country there.
Yeah. And then, so decking just wasn't enough, or?
Oh, the money definitely wasn't there. And I think it's more being behind a business, making the decisions yourself, talking to the clients yourself, rather than being that person at the end that's trying to make the trip good. If you can be there at the start and finish, I think that's better. I enjoy that, and there was never a worry, and it wasn't like you didn't enjoy having other people's clients. So
did you feel there was a lot of pressure that you had to?
No, it was never a pressure thing on someone else's boat. If anything, it's less pressure.
Yeah.
Because you're not as involved in their business as you are your own.
Yeah.
But I think you actually learn more as a guide when you're out on your own instead of working under someone else too, because you've got in the back of your mind, well, if we don't catch fish today, it's still all right. I still get paid. We'll get more clients. If they're your own clients, you tend to put in that extra 10%, 20%.
Yeah. You've got to make it an experience rather than just getting fish in the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So did you speak to anyone about starting your own gig? Or?
Yeah, so I talked to a few guides that had been doing it. I think a lot of people around the area, they had their own little ways and means and never really want anyone encroaching on their area. So no one was really of any handy, helpful hints on how to get into it or anything. But you just basically have to jump in the deep end.
Yeah.
And start from scratch and go for it.
Yeah. So where did you start?
So 5.8 metre south wind. It was another guide's boat for many years. And that's when we first met. Was doing it up, getting it to the stage where it'd be a good barra boat. And running anywhere from Bowen to the Whitsundays in that, just day trips, solely day trips. And then it built up once we got clientele. You get those regulars that want to do 2 or 3 days. So we'd go and hire hotels. do that sort of thing and do 2 or 3 days here and there in certain systems and cover all bases.
Yeah. So not knowing what's involved in, obviously I know what's involved in starting a business, but in that sort of industry, is it an easy industry to enter into? Like, I dare say there'd be a lot of red tape.
The red tape is more the vessel.
Yeah.
So you only need a coxswain ticket, your basic first aid, all that sort of stuff. But the red tape's all around your vessel and AMSA requirements. So you've got 2 options. You build one to survey, or you buy an older one that's been built for survey. And either or, there's no right and wrong. It's just a matter of getting the vessel properly done and ready for it. And for your needs too. Make sure it's personable to your needs.
Yeah. So had you fished out of the Southwind much before you started the business in it?
No, not at all. So I bought it and it sat in my driveway for about a year.
Yeah.
And I was just slowly plugging at it. And it wasn't until I got a few guys interested in me running it behind motherships for their charters. And then that kicked it off. Yeah. And then went into my own after that. So, yeah. Right. But weapon of a boat. It's always got that little piece of your heart. First boat,
You still got it?
Yeah, still got it.
Will you ever get rid of it?
Yeah, there's talk there at the moment. So we're looking at maybe putting a bigger centre console style in the business. And if that's the case, we'll probably get rid of the little boat.
Yeah.
But I can see that in years to come, I'll probably have a different version of it.
Yeah.
The same sort of style of boat.
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So did you, so when you started out, you chipped away at it, you said, or you sort of went gung-ho,
No. So I sort of chipped away with it. So there was always that daunting thought, like after talking to a lot of the guides in the area that, no one would ever sort of welcome anyone into the area. And there'd been a few guides over the years that started up and then closed down within a couple of years.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be one of those sort of guys. I just chipped away at it. I was lucky enough that I was involved with another company and then had a couple of mates in other companies that I could subcontract out to. So, 50% of my wage was outside of Townsville.
Yep.
Anything in Townsville was just a bonus.
Yep.
Money when you start up, I think it's like any business. You don't just make $200,000 a year straight up.
No.
So you've got to chip away at it and got to give yourself 5 years before you can start really cracking out their days and the turnover. So. And
this is when you were under the AFS sports fishing?
Yeah, so that's AFS. So we've still got that as the little boat. Yeah, it's AFS. And we just plugged away with that.
And had it started to feel like a job yet?
No, it still doesn't.
No. No, even now?
Yeah, even now.
Yeah, still enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have this chat with a lot of people and they say, like, do you do 4 or 5 or 6 14-hour days straight? And you can do that because it doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah.
Most people, that'd kill them being out on the water that long every day.
Yeah.
But, you find your little wins in every day and it's comfortable and you make it easy for yourself and make each day enjoyable.
So from there it obviously grew into something that could become full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you base that off? Do you reckon you just chipped away at it long enough and done the right things that it worked, or do you?
I think more the confidence in the local area that kicked that in. As a fisherman, once you can sort of near on guarantee fish every day, it kicks your mentality into gear. You just enjoy it and it takes you to another level. Fishing's not as hard. You're not thinking as much about fishing. It's just about giving the guys a new experience and a good day.
Yeah.
And when you could do that regularly without even effort,
so it's like a trade.
It's enjoyable. It's basically exactly like a trade.
Start off, learn your ways. Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Stick to what you're good at type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you see that in everyday tradies in different areas in what they do too. So, you do what you're good at.
Yeah.
And keep going and build on that, I suppose.
Yeah. And for you, that was a lot of inshore stuff?
Yeah, so a lot of barra fishing.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah. Bait and lure?
Bait and lure. Yeah. And that's the good thing. If you become a lure guide, then it's very difficult because you will get 100 days a year, you're going to struggle. And even, fishers these days think that, if they have 2 or 3 bad trips, it's hard, but you're going to if you're just a lure fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
But, knowing those days are going to be hard, catch them live prawn, catch them live mullet, make sure your clients still catch enough fish.
Yeah.
That's key for me, and what kept me going.
Yeah.
I know a lot of lure fishers, even as guides, they've just got to put a line through the day. At lunchtime that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I never liked that thought.
Yeah.
So being able to back it up with, let's go have a fish with liveys and catch a couple first.
Yeah.
And then go lure fish and see what we can do. So having both is the key, in my mind.
Yeah. And do you base that like when someone books with you? Essentially, do you ask them from the get go? Do you want to fish lure or do you want to fish?
Yeah. So I was always I worked under businesses that was how do we say it? The conversation wasn't there. The communication wasn't good.
Yep.
I never wanted to be like that. I wanted to be able to talk to every single client well before the charter, and I'd ring them a week out of the charter, discuss what they want out of the day, and then customise it to suit them.
Yeah.
You would get clients that wanted to go up, say, Hinchinbrook and flick lures for the day, and you just do it.
And you'd have those people that were keen to get nothing all day to get that one specific fish or something, definitely. And they understood that.
And it's you've got to blend into what they want too. Like, you think you've got that client on board for the day, but then 10 o'clock comes around and their shoulders are limp, they're struggling a bit, and you just say to them, well, let's go chuck a couple of live baits in a snag, get a couple of barras for you.
Yeah.
And then they're all pumped and positive, and then go back to the lure fishing. And a lot of the times they pull a few off lures.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of kicking that confidence into them.
Yeah. Mindset.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's 90% of it.
Yeah. And how do you feel as a guide, your mindset would have to be, the client doesn't know how it fished yesterday. The client doesn't know, at this time of the year with what's been going on, all that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that your mindset is a high percentage of, how successful you'll be?
Oh, it has to be. And like you just said, you don't know what happened yesterday, but we do. So we have to build every day based on the last week or knowledge of the past. So and barra fishing, it's pretty easy in the fact that what happened 2 years ago on the same tides with the same winds, they're sitting on the same bend. So,
but it's still an animal, and there's every chance you can sit there.
Yes.
And just for some reason, you can actually have they're just not hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But knowing that certain triggers that stop that, and trying to be ahead of the game is the key.
Yeah.
And you're going to have 10% of your days are going to be a struggle. That's just how it is. That's business.
Yeah.
But if you're, doing real good for 90% of those trips, then you're well ahead of most people.
Yeah, for sure.
So
you're doing it full time. You're getting a name for yourself. Obviously, getting booked out in advance type thing to obviously keep the business going. What made you then want to go bigger, essentially? So
I got involved with Camp Island Lodge. Actually, just did a bit of fishing down there for
those people that don't know Camp Island Lodge.
Oh, so it's a island that's down in the Burdekin, so it's the most northern Whitsunday Island. It's a little one in Abbott Bay. So you've got Abbott Point Jetty not very far. You've got Cape Upstart there. You've got the reef 26 mile out. It's just an isolated little island by itself.
Sounds
and there's
rubbish.
a lodge on there. It's horrible. It is horrible. Yeah. A beautiful place. But, so I fished down there for a bit, and the family actually wanted to look at buying the lodge. So we discussed it, buying it and running it as a fishing lodge. The price was a little bit too much at the time. So we sort of said to the owners, we're willing to offer this much. They declined, obviously. It was, $1 million under what they wanted.
Yeah.
So they declined that. And then about a year later, the island sold. So a brother-in-law of mine got in touch with the new owners and discussed going down for a weekend just for him and his partner. And they got on to chatting, and for somehow my number got thrown in there, and the owner of the island rang me to
See if you
to get
wanted
involved in fishing charters down there. So the next weekend they flew up. I went down with the boat. We fished the area, caught some fish, had a good time, had a few beers, got in touch with each other, and built from then. They looked at wanting a bigger boat for the island.
Was it just your boat that was on offer, or did the island come with any?
So the island has a 8-metre barge as well as a 5-metre polycraft. They're both in survey. The caretakers are able to drive them with clients on board, so it's got that option there. But when it comes to like specialist fishing boats, it doesn't have one. You have to hire an external guide.
Yeah. What is the barge for, running stuff back and forth?
Yeah. So doing that, but we've been using it lately as a fishing vessel. Like it's pretty much a weapon.
Yeah.
Handles the chop real good. Does 30 knots, and
right.
So when it's empty, you can put 6 or 7 guys on it and fish wherever you need to fish.
Yeah.
So. It does a job, but down there you've got flats fishing and shallow coral reefs and stuff like that. So it's nice having a specialist boat. And then they wanted something a little bit bigger. So getting onto the island is very tidal. The Aiight River is very, very shallow. So their thoughts were getting a bigger boat, setting it up for a transfer to say Bowen, picking people up from Bowen and driving it there. Or helicopter was the other option, which happens at the moment.
Got your helicopter license?
No, don't want it either. I'm scared of heights. The top of the flybridge is high enough for me on the 37-footer. I get a little wheezy up there already. But yeah, so we thought about that, and we looked at getting something that was trailable, something around 28 foot, 27 foot, trailable with a truck. And then we decided on this 37-foot Kevlar Cat. And when I chatted to him, when we had our original talks, we ended up deciding on that. But then we sort of figured that Townsville had a better clientele chance, and that we'll be booked out anyway out of Townsville, so we may need another boat. But yeah, so at the moment we're in the stage where the boat's not leaving Townsville because there was too much work. We did like 28 days in the first 2 months this year. For a reef charter, that's pretty unreal. Like in the past, we've been blessed with weather, so that's another factor. But yeah, in the past you could do 5 or 6 in the first 2 months. Yeah, doing 28 or 29, might have been 29 days. That's quite a lot. So if that continues when we're allowed to up and run again, then the boat's not going to have time to go to Camp Island. So we'll have to look at a secondary for that.
What sort of a run is it from here to Camp Island?
86 mile. So that's a about a 3.5 hour run. If you want to open it up.
See some nice coast.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Down to the Burdekin there, some of that coastline's pretty awesome. Hey. And you can be like 20 metres off the sand and it's 15 metres deep. Where we don't have those beaches around Townsville. So it is quite nice, the coast down there. We may actually go back this weekend, so we might just go down and have a little wander and a troll all the way down and have a look over it again. But it's good, and you find little bays that are isolated and nice little areas where not many people go. So it's good to have that as well as a backup.
100%. So the Kevlar Cat, where did that come from? So
it was a VMR boat for Prosser Point, Abbott Point.
So it was pretty close. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then a gentleman bought it in Mackay. It was out of commission as a VMR boat for a year, I think, and then we bought hold of it. So it just sat in Mackay for a year.
He just used it for like personal use, or?
Yeah, well, I think they run it once.
Yeah, right.
He bought it thinking that it'd be a great thing, and never really took it out. So so we looked at it. We went and test drove it. Handled amazingly. The smaller versions that we test drove weren't that good. But the 3700 eats everything up, and it suited us perfectly. So we bought it and then become the big rebuild on it.
Yeah, sure. So what did you get it back here and then started on that?
Yeah, so we drove it back over the course of 3 days. And then I don't know whether you saw the original photos of all the vessel with the towing poles and all that sort of stuff, but lots of grinding out on the back deck and full new fit out. So that took a while. It was 3 or 4 months on the hard doing that.
So you basically turned it from something rescue boats into some to fish out of.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And it was the perfect vessel to do it. So and it was good. I think, you appreciate a lot more doing that than just buying one.
Yeah.
So, it's good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
So you
it.
repowered it.
Yeah, so we didn't repower it the first time. We thought that the yammies that were on it would last, and then come 2 charters or 3 charters into kicking into gear, and we blew a leg on a yammy. So we sort of decided, well, let's just repower the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not stuff around. You know, why spend 10 grand to fix it when the other one can go just as quick? So, we decided to repower and best thing we ever did.
Yep. Repower, bit of custom work, got the wrap on it.
Yep. Yeah, so it looks pretty now.
Yep. And running this under Audacity.
Yeah, so this is Audacity Charters. Yeah, the big boat will be. And I can see in the future we'll just merge everything we have into Audacity.
Yep.
That'll just be easier.
Yep.
So there may be a thought of just selling AFS with the boat. If there's a young bloke out there that's keen to do it, it's a good heads up for him and a good start.
Yep.
Very cheap business for what you can do, like, you know, jumping straight into 150 days a year with, say, $50,000 or $60,000 loans, pretty good business set up. So the opportunity's there if I do want to get rid of it, but it's hard to get rid of your first baby, isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. So how many people was the Southwind good for?
So the Southwind was 5 + 1.
Yeah.
So we'd only ever take 4 with live baiting, 3 with luring. Preference was 2 doing specialist lure charters.
And what's the cat good for?
It was 7 + 1 when we bought it. It's now 10 + 2.
Yeah.
So having 10 clients on the back deck, 2 crew. I don't like having a decky at the moment. I enjoy running it by myself. I've always been on the back deck of boats, so I love being out there. So a decky sort of gets in the road at the moment, but in time, just
find
for clients, just for a little bit, a little bit more enjoyment on the back of that deck, a little bit more ease. We'll put a decky on. Yeah.
So is there many wreck fishing days for you?
No. So yesterday was the first day since we went out, which would have been
the last time the Scout's been out, before New Year's last year.
Yeah. So we went out jigging of all things yesterday, and I don't want to do another recreational day. It's easier just showing clients what to do and then handing the rod over. Yeah. Doing it yourself, that just hurts.
Yeah.
So, that's the one downside people would see, but I don't see it as a downside because I get more enjoyment out of taking other people fishing than doing it yourself.
Yeah.
You get to that stage where, you know, catching a fish doesn't really enjoy. It's not the enjoyment level that it used to be. But seeing people shake and struggle with big fish, that's
and then
way
the
better.
look on their face afterwards.
Yeah, it's good. Some of them give a tear.
So that's all the good things. Has it always been easy?
Yeah, it's never been hard.
Yeah.
I think that's more my mentality. I've always been pretty laxy-daisy and things tend to go my way, luckily.
Could always be worse.
Got someone looking down on me, but I've just made things easy, so you go with the flow and build what you can. Yeah.
Has the industry sort of developed as well in the time that you've been on the water?
Yeah, not really. It's pretty stagnant where it is, to be honest. There's a few guys that have gone out and branched doing these, new popping and GT sort of charters, but trying to get 200 days a year doing that sort of stuff, they're going to find that they will struggle. And some have sort of struggled and died off now, which is a shame. But it's an industry that just sort of just keeps ticking over. So it's enjoyable. Yeah.
Is there any advice that you'd give for someone that's keen to get into the industry?
Yeah, just work hard with your fishing and the knowledge of it is the key.
Yeah. Is it a big ego game?
It is at the point of recreational fishing in my mind. There's a lot of rec anglers out. It's all about the fish for them. Once you become a guide, whether it's a kid's first barra at 60 centimetres or someone who's caught 100 barra and they finally get a metery, it's still the same enjoyment out of it. So it's not an ego thing. as such with that. And I've worked under a lot of skippers that have had that ego. You know, we've got to catch and kill this many fish, and it doesn't work to anyone's advantage.
Yeah.
So
well, I'll touch on that because from the outside looking in, I see yourself and the outfit that you do run as you don't have to neck everything that you catch. You know, I remember the rec day that we went for a fish, and I wanted to neck everything because I just don't get out enough to fish. And you were very, there'll always be another one. Yeah. There'll always be another one, and not only that, the big fish I see, you seem to be very passionate about meter plus barra and stuff like that getting necked and, the big girls as such.
It's hard because back when I was younger, I was that sort of person. Mm-hmm. I would neck every single meter barra, and we caught thousands. Yeah. And looking back, I sort of feel sad about that in the fact that, that there's a massive population of barra that we wiped out because we did that. Mm-hmm. So I don't enjoy those times. At the times, I thought it was great. Mm-hmm. I thought, going home with 5 meter plus barra was this big thing. But
stop it.
In the end, like, what do you get out of that?
Yeah.
You just get fillets in the freezer.
Yeah.
Which die off eventually.
Yeah.
Opening up your freezer doesn't give you any likes or any respect in the industry, does it? Opening up your freezer and having 50 kilo fillets. So, you tend to die off with that. I think once you've caught and ticked all your boxes in regards to fish, I think you sort of ease back and just enjoy it a bit more. Mm-hmm. I was very lucky to fish in Townsville when there was a lot of good years. So I got to do things by the time I was 20 and catch the amount of fish that I did by the time I was 20 that most people wouldn't catch in a lifetime, especially in this area. It will never happen again. Yeah. It was just a mixture of what was coming from the ocean and then what was stocked in the dams. And, we had some great years. Yeah. That won't happen again.
Yeah. Do you do much impoundment fishing?
No, so I don't enjoy the smell of fresh water. I know that sounds stupid, but the weed smell, and I'm sure you don't after what happened at Bouse too. But so I used to do a lot. Yeah. And I thought I mastered it up until about 25 years old. Yeah. But then something just switched in my head that made me hate it.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing different. Mm-hmm. You're chasing barra. The one thing that's different, you might get a sooty. Mm-hmm. Or you might hook a turtle in the bum or something like that, but nothing changes. Yeah. It's the same thing, whether it's 1.20 m, whether it's 1.05 m, you get 1.30 m. Well, they're still the same fish. Yeah. You don't just get any variety. So that's the difference to fishing saltwater.
Yeah. And is that because you think you just done that much of it?
I think so.
You got over it essentially?
Yeah. It was definitely my mentality. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with fish stocks or anything like that. Yeah. It was just what I had, and I think we did it before it sort of became cool. Yeah. We fished Faust before it got real big. We fished the Ross River well before people even thought they were there. Yeah. So we did it before it was cool. So when it became cool, it was more like, well, that's just silly. Yeah. And we didn't like it as such. Mm-hmm. So, and I think as a fisherman, you move on to different things and different challenges. Yeah. And that's where moving on to being a guide, you then kick into gear even more. Mm-hmm.
So do you think this, the Ross Dam getting stocked and possibly, and I say possibly because, everything's in the pipe works, but...
Mate, if I could have a dream, I know it just goes against everything I just said, but if the Ross Dam could be as good as the weirs were in, say, 2006, 2007, 2008, that would be just massive for Townsville. Yeah. So it would be the only dam I would fish, just because it is your hometown. You'd like to take people up there, and it's a pretty dam. Like, we've been up there. We went for a little pre-fish up there.
It's like a whole different world up there, eh?
Yeah. Well, no, I've been to Faust, and I've been to the Mackay dams and Awonga, and they just don't interest me. Mm-hmm. But there's just something about that Ross River Dam. So I probably would. I don't think as a guide, I don't think I'd guide up there unless times got tough or something clicked in my head that I really wanted to. Yeah. I think I could do like sightseeing tours up there. I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be massive. Yeah. Massive. Like,
I think that'd be a great idea.
Mate, So the last time we went up there and had we're allowed to have fish was good. The time before that, when we stocked it, just driving around and just looking, you could, I was going to say you could get lost up there for hours, but I don't want to use that term. You could be up there for hours and get lost, if that makes, you tune out 100%. So plenty of turtles.
It does. There's plenty of turtles, plenty of eels, plenty of red claw. There's good life up there. It's just a matter of getting the barra there and then making sure they don't go over the dam when we have a rain event. So once that's all settled,
and we make sure that we do the right thing so that we can get on the dam.
Yes.
Got to say that.
Yes, that's a big thing.
As a community, not just as fishers, but because it's got to open up to.
There's more economic value in that dam than people think.
Oh, 100%.
It's just fishing's just the start. It could be world class.
Yeah, and it's just up the road.
Yeah,
knock off work, go up for a couple of hours, have a fish. It's in the fresh.
I look at it like my daughter loves snorkeling.
Yeah,
that dam's snorkelable on good winds. Well, that water is still 2 meters clean.
Yeah.
So, nothing is dangerous in there. So you could go and snorkel with the turtles and the eels and do that sort of stuff. So having that option is great. But if it could get the fishing stocks get like they used to be, it'll be world class.
Yeah, I think the barrier stocking guys are definitely moving forward
really well.
Having a flood last year didn't really help anyone.
No, that ruined everything, to be honest. And I think everyone will agree to that.
Yeah.
But that's nature. That happens.
That's the way it works.
But we've just got to be ahead of that next time, is to know that there will be a mesh put up 100 metres from the dam and make sure we don't get any spillage overflows with them. So and it's hard with the way the dam is, but hopefully they can fix that.
Yeah, 100%. And not only that, it was enough that they went over the dam wall. And then every single year and out, it's not as if they went over there and now they're in the Ross.
But the saltwater fishery out there is going to be better for it.
Yes.
But that doesn't help the poor guys that have spent hours upon hours stocking the dams.
Yeah.
And it's not the stocking, it's the behind the doors
sort of
the
scene, stocking is the fun bit.
Yeah, that's where we get involved and we just go have a good day. It's great.
Yeah.
But the poor guys that have set it all up, endless.
But that's, I guess they knew what they were getting.
100%. And they
keep persevering, which is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
So had a bit of a, going back, we just got a bit sidetracked there and dam fishing. So business pretty steady, got into Audacity, run out of the big boat now.
Yep.
Someone's just rocked up, but we're shut, so it's okay.
Do you want to? I'll go for a wee break and.
You can go for a wee. I'm not serving them though.
Oh, aren't you?
No.
Oh, well, no, don't worry about it then.
No, I'll just pause it.
I don't need to. I just thought it'd be nice and just give you an excuse to get up and serve someone.
No, I got no shoes on. So
do you want to borrow some? Do you want to borrow some? Nice.
So you talk about there not being many lows, but obviously there's 365 days in the year.
Yeah.
And they can't all be glamour weather or good enough weather to go out.
Yep.
What do you have to do mentally and just as a business to set yourself up for that? Obviously, I've tried to make a rule on these podcasts that we don't talk about what's happening at the moment. But obviously, mate, you and a bunch of other guys basically have had their work taken away from them without any choice for at least the last fortnight.
Yeah.
So, if we got down to the real kick in the dick sort of chat, what do you do to sustain your business through these times and those shit weather times?
Yeah. Yeah, so basically the reason we charge what we charge is because you've got a limited amount of days on the water. People
so it's not for that
charters.
Lambo?
No, the Lamborghini sits there, but I don't like it because it hasn't got a tow ball. But yeah, so you charge what you charge, so you've got a rainy day problem or no problem in a rainy day as such.
Yep. And then obviously there's maintenance and stuff that needs to be done anyway.
Yeah, there's always little stuff.
Yep.
I could put another 10 grand into the small boat tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I only knew someone who had a fiberglass business that could supply it cheap and do the work.
Don't know anyway.
But yeah, there's always something to do with boats.
Yeah.
I think a lot of wreck fishermen will realise that when they play with their boats. There's always something they could do to their boat.
Yeah.
Well, we use the boat 200 days a year. They're in way worse conditions than most recreational fishermen's boats. Like there's always something. I say worse condition. I don't mean it that way, but yeah, there's always something.
Yeah, it'll get used more.
Yeah, every 20 days you're on water, you've got to do something to your boat. So
you look at a
we're
taxi.
the same, but we can do that in 3 weeks.
Yeah, you look at a taxi you look at a Camry taxi compared to the Camry of the same year.
Yeah,
and the taxi's always rugged.
Yeah. No, well, they've just got to be solid and do the job. That's the key. It's not about being pretty.
Yeah,
I think that's something we failed with Audacity. We tried to make it pretty, and it is pretty, but we got to remember to tone it back a little bit, and that it is a fishing boat.
Yeah.
Its sole purpose is to go out and just catch fish.
Yeah.
And show people a good time. It doesn't need to look dead sexy. So
doesn't look terrible.
It's amazing. It looks good at the moment. Another 6 months of operating, it might look a bit more run down than what it does, but no, it's good.
Yeah. So you would you say you're living your dream?
Yeah, you could say that. I'd probably 2 years' time, if all goes well, that's where I'd be.
Yeah,
living a dream.
Paint me that picture. What's that?
So that picture would be 2 or 3 boats. Still run one myself. I don't want to get into that management, having other people and relying on other people. I'd run one myself.
It's great. You should get into it.
Yeah.
Managing
10 boats, you reckon? Buy a business, come in and talk to the public every day. Yes, that's perfect.
It's good.
It can only be better if you worked with kids and animals.
Look, depending on what day you come in to fibre finish.
Yeah, so I'd love to be at the stage where, and I love Camp Island, even though I'm not in business with Camp Island as such, I'd love Camp Island to be
good home,
wanting a boat and having a boat there for 100 days a year that it can pay itself off, and I can put a guide on that boat, and then out of Townsville I can run the big Audacity 37-footer and not a barra style boat, but we'll look at about an 8-metre centre console with big twins on the back and set that up so we could do it as crossover. It could go out the reef on good days with 6 clients on board, but it can also go down and do barra fishing. Very shallow draft on them, but could still handle the chops. We know which boat we want. It's just a matter of the world getting back to normal and us being able to take clients out. So
100%. So do you think you said that in 2 years you'd be living your dream? So
if you asked me January 1st this year how long you think it would take, I would have told you 4 years. But the fishing we had, the amount of clientele and interest we had, the bookings we had or still have into the future already is like 10 times more than what we thought. And as long as we're providing what we provided in that first 2 months this year, if we keep doing that, it may only be a year's time.
People still supporting you through these times, mate? Like a lot of people pulling out?
So no one's really pulled out. Everyone so far that put deposits down for our big boats has said when we're back on track. So I think that's the good thing with Townsville and how people are.
Do you reckon
they realise?
Do you reckon the first couple of trips out after all this sort of lesser people fishing certain areas is going to create some whopping trips?
Yeah, I can see the first trip out is going to be amazing. It won't be on the books. It won't be a fishing charter. It'll just be a recreational day where all of us boys just get out there and have an absolutely epic trip overnight.
Is that because you'll have forgotten how to do it all?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You always got to go back. And it's we laugh about it, but it's the same with barra fishing. If you just have 2 weeks off, that first trip to go back is sometimes a struggle.
Yeah, got to get the monkey off your back.
Yeah, so sometimes it'll take you 3 or 4 hours before you can click.
Yeah.
But the reef fishing's a little bit different. We've got some spots out, or enough spots out there that we know that they'll be filthy with fish in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
You leave them for a month and go back and just see the different population of fish that are there within a month.
Yeah.
Like I try and manage my spots really well. And if you give it a month off, the next trip's great.
Yeah.
So give it 6 months off.
Well, I've personally given the whole region 6 months off at the moment, mate.
Yep. That's good. That's the way you should be.
After April, it'll be 7 months off. I'm trying to do my part for the ecosystem, mate.
Yeah.
Sweet. So 2 years, that's pretty good. And you've obviously got a lot of supportive people around you that, you know, can help you sort of get to that level.
Yep.
Right. So the little boat gets sold tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Would you work with that person to help them get set up?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea with getting to Audacity. We knew that we'd want another smaller boat in that 8 metre range very quickly, if everything went well. So that leaves the little barra boat, like specialised barra boat, free for anything. So we're at 2 options: whether we hire a guide or we look at selling it to someone who is keen. I like the selling it to someone who's keen for the mere fact that all our advertising still has AFS on it. All our big boats, everything, web pages, everything, they still have AFS there, and I would push all our barra clients onto that. And then the bigger boat we have as a crossover would just be more for my clients and that I've kept over the years, specialist clients that want to fish with me as such.
Yeah.
There's not that many of them. I'm not very likable, so
I can't see that at all.
A year, yeah. But yeah, I'll keep some of those clients, but then the rest of them I would push, and then we'd be doing our own advertising for AFS as such. So, they're looking to jumping straight into 100 to 150 days a year, depending on their skill level, obviously.
Does a good fisho make a good guide? I don't want to get you in trouble here, but obviously...
No. Well, you need to be a good fisher, for starters, but they're an animal, so you need to, and you touched on it before, that you can't change what's going through their head.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn their ways, and I think the only way to do that is to be a good fisher. But in the same regard, the best fisherman doesn't make a good guide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fishermen out there that are great fishermen that I could think of no one worse than putting them on my boat.
Yeah.
And giving clients to go out with them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that are mediocre fishermen that I would go, well, a couple of months training and they would jump on, they'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So, and then it's up to them individually where they want to go as a guide.
Yeah.
So your skill level to your knowledge is a personal thing. It's something you can't really train into someone because it is nature. So you've got to click and got to learn it yourself.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and teach people as much as you want, and you can read as many books and watch as many movies, and it's not going to happen if you're not willing.
We've something you've touched on when we've been on the boat together, and I've sort of talked to you about a lot of stuff that, you know, you would have loved to do this same sort of podcast on the boat, but the thing you just keep coming back to is just time on the water.
100%.
Time on the water.
100%.
Yeah.
And I say that in a couple of regards, like time on the water as a recreational fisherman not learning much is a waste of time. So you've got to embrace that time on the water and learn from it. Yeah. A lot of fishers just don't get it. They just think they had a bad day. Yeah. They don't realise what they did wrong.
Yeah. Sounder interpretation.
Everything. Even going back to, you've got to go back to basics sometimes. Yeah. You know, it's great having the technology, but if you didn't know how to catch them before technology, you're going to struggle on those, 1/3 of days. Yeah. So people rely too much on the technology. It's good knowing the barra there. Yeah. But just knowing how to catch them with all your technology on, sometimes it won't happen.
So you mean sunset photos and screenshot photos of the sounder?
Whales, in winter, those whale photos, they're the best ones. We're going down the creek barra fishing, but find a whale. Yeah. How's that happen?
It's probably just a photo of me on the front of the Scout.
We won't talk about that day, hey?
I guess summarising it all up, Adam, like you've already sort of said, in the next 2 years you hope to where you want to be, and that would be you living your dream.
Yep.
Which is awesome to hear. Super awesome. I love to support you in any way we can to try and get there. But the only thing I'll touch on as we close is what can people do at the moment to help you out? Like, where obviously they can get a hold of you on Facebook and the website and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, and when I open this up as the industry, you know, like, so there's a lot of guides out there. There's a lot of fishing charter businesses and stuff. Like, what can people do at the moment? Because obviously the only thing you can sort of do is like either reshare or content or just, you know, talk about stuff. Like, what could you ask the people to do to help, you know, you out?
Yeah, I think it's up to each individual as a guide, like I'm talking from a guide's point of view, on their business. Some guys are going to struggle. Mm-hmm. There's going to be guys that are going to shut down and won't open up again. Mm-hmm. That's just what's going to happen. I can't really say on anyone else's business, but like, we're solid. We've got a real good backing, so there's no we're not going to struggle. We can go a year in dormant and come back stronger than ever. Mm-hmm. The other guys that are struggling, you know, you'd like to say, guys, can you book a trip with them in the future? If it's 6 months down the track, book a trip and pay a deposit. But I don't want to get into that as well, because I don't want people to pay a $200 deposit on a charter
and not knowing
and not knowing that they'll deliver.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that people, you know, financially could maybe pay a smaller deposit to those businesses. We're quite fine. There's no issue at all with us, so I don't want to be taking deposits for charters. I'm happy to book days for people in the future, and so always.
So is this the sort of time that you spend on the water now, doing a bit of R&R, like a bit of, you know, looking for new ground and?
No, because things do get tight.
Yeah.
And with Audacity, you know, you're spending $1,000 worth of fuel to go out and look around.
Yeah.
But I've got enough areas that's not a need. So, you know, we've got 10,000 marks out there that we fish that all produce fish. And
you're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'll rob the Scout. Scout had a few good ones there.
That was on demo mode, mate. That was on the shop mode.
Oh, there was fish on one of those patches. What a fluke. But yeah, I'd probably like, you know, even a smaller deposit just to help some of the single boat operators. I know without Audacity, I'd probably be struggling with AFS, but you know, the start of the year that we've had has set us up in a good position. Yeah. But yeah, maybe even book out some of the operators just for a day here or there, and put a small deposit down. But at the same time, you don't want to be booking a big deposit just in case those operators go bust, and then you won't see your money. So it's a difficult one in this time.
Do you think that the industry that you're in, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what steps are taken for people to diversify? You know, like obviously...
Yeah, so we've looked into it. Mm-hmm. You know, through these times you can go into commercial operation and mud crabs and reef fish and that sort of thing to get set up, and then the industry that's there already. We are then going to push our problem onto the commercial operators. Yeah. So the last thing I want to do is go out the reef and catch 3 ton of Nanny Guy and Red Emperor, come back, sell it all, and old mate who's been doing it for 20 years can't sell it, or we drop his price. Yeah. So we don't want to see that. I know there's a few down the East Coast that have had to do that. I don't see it as a bad thing if that's what they've got to do to float their business. Mm-hmm. But I see it as a bad thing in regards to the other guys. So I don't want to be sort of part of that. There was a thought that I could go and do some crabbing. Yeah. I could quite easily do that in our small boat. Coming to the crabbing season, it would be perfect. It'd be easy money. But yeah.
Bigger picture.
But bigger picture, yeah. It's not worth the effort. Yeah. You don't want to.
I think a lot of going through these times that we are faced with, you know, obviously I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, but I personally feel that the businesses that are most agile and the businesses that are more able to reach out and support others will be the business that will prosper so much on the other side of this.
Definitely.
You know, there's a lot
people will remember a lot of businesses.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that, don't get me wrong, as you said, like are going to have a knee-jerk reaction like, Mate, I had a talk with the missus that we could get back on the tools and I'll repair stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be like, but the day that you see me repairing something, we're like dire straits. Because the relationships that I've built with the people in this industry, repairers,
100%. You're taking their money away.
Oh, mate, all we want to do is make sure that they're here with us on the other end.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I appreciate what you said with that.
Yeah.
You know, it resonates a lot with me and the values that we have.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess it's just, who would have thought, huh?
I think the big picture we've got to look at is 2 years in 2 years' time. It might be the next 6 months that's a struggle.
Yeah.
But the year and a half after that, if all goes mediocre, it will bounce back brilliantly. Like, you know, if our restrictions get lifted from what it is now to a slightly looser restriction, we'll bounce back no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think at the moment we're still legally allowed to take a charter, as long as it's everyone from the same household or one person.
Yeah.
But same deal, you don't want to just be seen as that one person is just going to load the boat up with so many people from a house and just do that.
Yeah.
Some people will do that. I don't look down on them as that, but other people will. So, yeah, I think you've just got to, you know, there's enough government funding there too and super access and that sort of stuff that if you need to be held up just to float a little bit for 6 months, then you can do it.
Yeah.
I think people just need to know that the next 6 months will be hard, but after that, it's going to go boom.
Yeah, it's got to.
Has to.
Got to.
Yeah, hopefully.
So,
fingers crossed.
Right, sum up. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, if not, we'll just go fishing.
Oh, may as well.
You know, a lot of people are learning to simplify their life and finances now. So if it doesn't change, then a lot of people are going to realise that living off the land and enjoying it may be better than what
100%
it has been.
But more to the point, I've just realised something. Fuel is at the lowest it's been in ages in the time that you can't charter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got 2.5 million litres just stacked away now that I bought cheap. So hopefully that'll keep us going for a while. It'll be off by then, though.
It's all right. That's a bit of octane booster, mate.
That's what we need. But yeah, there's positives in everything.
It could always be worse.
Definitely.
I know that sounds super easy for me to say, but it could always be worse.
Yeah, we're sitting in here having a drink and a relax and a chat. Like, you know, once it gets to a stage that we can't do that, then we can sort of worry.
You got swabbed on the way in?
So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sweet.
I didn't think that anal probing was necessary. But
always necessary. It can never be too certain.
Yeah, that's what you said when I walked in. I also questioned it a little bit, though.
Last question for this podcast. Adam Finlay from Audacity Charters. Chicken crimpies or pizza shapes?
Chicken crimpies.
Oh, you're a man of my heart.
Do people eat pizza shapes?
Yeah,
do they? I just thought they were shelf stackers for when we had cyclones and...
Thank you. They're still there, actually. All the chicken crimpies are gone.
Oh,
pizza ones still there, like vegan food.
I've got like 4 packets. I might put them on eBay.
No, I'll buy them off you.
I'm going home to eat one now.
Adam Finlay, thank you very much. You can get in touch with Adam. What's the Facebook under Audacity Charters?
Yeah, Audacity Charters, AFS Charters. We're on Instagram as Audacity and AFS.
Camp Island Lodge is somewhere you can reach out to. Adam will happily tour you around there.
Yeah, definitely.
Anywhere else?
No, I'd like to just keep it to that now. It's hard enough.
I've seen how you use social media, mate. It's a struggle, I bet.
It is.
Thanks, Adam. Have a good one,
Thank you very much. Cheers.